Hello, this is To Be Continued. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, morning, or afternoon. I want to talk about somewhat like of a random topic. Just this was kind of more inspired by another YouTuber's video called Mintus Wave talking about TDS because I think this is something we need to talk about. So, yesterday there was a huge freeze that happened, and fortunately, a court halted that temporarily. But we saw a lot of people freaking out and spraying line. So, for instance, a lot of the Democrats are saying, look, all these funding the Medicare, SNAP, blah, 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 they're being paused. No, they're not. You can see right here. No. Any program that provides direct benefits to Americans is explicitly excluded from the pause. And I just want to just talk about the idea of the anti-Trump mindset of these people complaining about this and how it's kind of, clogging their judgment. They're like blind to their own, almost not with their own biases, but their own hatred of just one person and his supporters. And there was a lot to talk about. Well, I say a lot. This is going to probably be a shorter video, but we'll move on. So one of the first issues I want to talk about with TDS is the orange man is the reincarnation of the mustache man. Now I don't have TikTok, but I do watch somewhat Instagram reels. And over the past few days, I've been getting basically TikTok leftist refugees over there, and they've been complaining nonstop about, you know, Elon's, quote unquote Roman salute, and like the United States is hitting down, like 1930s Germany, blah blah blah. They're going to take away our rights, blah blah blah. So regarding Musk's salute, it was not a what salute. If you look at the video in full context, he was trying to indicate throwing his heart out. Now, could he have done it a little bit better? Maybe, but the problem is, this just shows the difficulty in interpreting stuff because all you see is people just posting the same photo without looking at context. And context matters, and of course, a lot of these videos they have comments going like, comparing Trump's America to 1930s Germany, and even got European leftists saying, "No, we've experienced this before." No, you haven't. You're probably like 30 years oldish. You were not alive during the 1930s. These people don't realize that dictatorships don't rise because of certain circumstance, one single circumstance. We have a multitude of events that happen. And the funny thing is, you got all these Europeans complaining about Trump's going to lead America into a dictatorship. When some of the countries you can get arrested for posting a meme or complaining about a certain ethnic group in the country. And it's like, you shouldn't be complaining about us if you can get easily locked up because of a meme. And it's kind of, well, it's not really frustrating. It's just more annoying to see all these people just post the same thing, and you can clearly just see that there's no thought, no will, or no malice. And one point I want to bring especially up is the fallacious intent behind anti-Trumpism. Because a lot of times we see the strong men throwing out ad hominem or just simply other fallacies thrown out. There's no effort to debate. There's no effort to put a meaningful meaning behind their attacks. It's just orange man bad. And especially with the whole, mustache man incarnate talk, you can kind of see this happening. Now to go over through our segment of fallacies, I'll look at the 15 common types. I got the ad hominem, the red herring, straw man, equivocation, slippery slope, hasty generalization, appeal to authority, false dilemma, bandwagon, appeal to ignorance, circular argument, sunk cost fallacy, appeal to pity, casual fallacy, and appeal to hypocrisy. Now, I'll kind of go over through these one by one, kind of point out, hey, here's some reasons why these TDS people try to sound smart, but then you look and you're like, oh, it's actually a fallacy. Said the ad hominem. I think this can somewhat apply because it's basically like, well, Trump's gonna be a bad president because he, is rude or bashful or he's a billionaire. Problem is, he can't. It's like, okay, how does he's a billionaire have to do is going to be how he's going to become a bad president? A good argument would be, well, Trump's going to be a bad president because of his positions X, Y, and Z, and I believe these positions are not going to be helpful. So thus, I believe this is why. Now, red herring. You also see us too, like shift the focus from the debate at hand by introducing an irrelevant point. I think this is more. This happens more in like debates. Debates like someone's like, hey, "This is why we should cut down immigration," blah blah blah. And some go, "But that's racist." It's an irrelevant point. Straw man. I think this is a big one, a big foundation in TDS because it's like they're trying to paint Trump as this big, bad, scary man, but in reality, he's not. Most of his policies are common sense and almost, I can say, somewhat popular. Equivocation. Now, some of you can I can see some of this happening, but it can really depend on what you're looking at. Because it says an equivocation is a statement crafted to mislead or confuse readers or listeners by using multiple meanings. So I guess you can, the old tariff argument. I think a lot of people can use equivocation, like, it will cost American consumers, and trying to use these lofty definitions to confuse people. But in reality, tariffs are common. United States, we used to run off for tariffs instead of the income tax. A slippery slope. Yeah, this is, I think, another big one, another core pillar. Because it's going to be like, you know, Trump will ban abortion because he's going to leave it all to the states. And it's going to, leave all to this. Or, it's going to be a pushist. This is a very, another big one to look out for, especially in arguments or on the internet. Hasty generalization. I can deal with more if, Trump's bad, so his supporters must be bad also. Appeal to authority. This is also another big pillar because we see this all the time. Like, look at all these economists, these historians, all these journals. They say Trump's bad, so we must believe them. In reality, no, they're all biased. And like, it's kind of funny. You look and it's like, especially on Wikipedia, like they're gonna claim historians will rank Trump as one of the worst presidents in U.S. history. One, those historians are very biased. Two, it's very early to even make a judgment about that. When I eventually do a presidential tier list, I will not rank the modern presidents because I believe it's too early. Give about 10 or 12 or so years before, we can start making our own judgments. False dilemma. I don't know, I can see that with people who are suffering from TDS. If you know any examples, list them down in the comments. Bandwagon fallacy. This one kind of because like people can go like, look all these celebrities, they hate Trump, so let's follow their example. Just trying to hop on person X says this, thus it must be true, I must follow it. Appeal to arguments. I'm gonna say this one's another core fallacy at core TDS because it's trying to appeal to people not understanding certain complex economic issues. The majority of common Americans, they don't really know what a tariff is and why. In fact, they don't even know that Biden kept some of Trump's tariffs. So thus, if you say, hey, this person says tariffs are bad, but yet why did Biden keep some of Trump's? Circular argument. It could, yeah, I get you can see, like, Orange Man Bad, he's the reincarnation of the Moustache Man. Thus, his policies are bad. Thus, Orange Man is the Moustache Man. And I'm going to clarify, yes, I'm trying to say, the evil Mustache Man or Moustache Man because I don't know whether YouTube still censors or demonetizes channels like it's been saying that, and I shouldn't worry because I don't have a lot of views, so maybe not. But oh well. Just in case in the future, people decide to go back and will allow my early videos get demonetized. And back to the point. Peel the pity. I feel going to see a lot of this with when deportations start to wrap up even well, not really wrap up but ramp up even more. We'll probably see pictures of kids crying and oh look because the media is going to say hey look it's bad Trump's deporting kids. One, don't come across the border illegally, and they're trying to cover up the point because a lot of people who are here illegally are criminals. But it seems like the media doesn't really want to look at that. Didn't appeal hypocrisy. I we see us all the oligarch, pointing. Biden was supported by a lot of the billionaires, and I believe Harris was supported by even more billionaires than Trump. So this is kind of, whenever we say Trump's going to be an oligarch, they're hypocrites. I'm not going to lay it out. They're hypocrites, and maybe they know, maybe they not. But point is, they're hypocrites. They appeal to hypocrisy. Before I move on, please remember to like, click the subscribe button, and leave a comment below. You can hit the notification bell if you want, but it doesn't matter. But I will really appreciate the likes and the subscriptions and the comments. Thank you. Now I know my explanations of the fallacies and the examples given are just rudimentary, and I don't expect all my examples to be the perfect shining beacons. Now I want to address probably the most common criticism that will be pointed out towards my video. Doesn't the right, use fallacious arguments sometimes? And as a conservative, I have to admit, yes. Some on the right, especially the online right, do use some of the fallacies in attacking the left. But I believe it's important to understand the fallacies and learn how to combat them in order to not use them. Because if you recognize them, you can be able to recognize it in our own words. And I think a lot of this also has to do with our definitions and our examples. And for instance, wokeness or woke. Some people they know what woke is, some people don't. A lot of times it's used as a more of a vague descriptor. Now the definition I like to use is woke is a viewpoint of achieving radical equity through means like organization, culture, or power. Now I probably will work on my definition because it's not perfect, but I like to, incorporate, radicalize equity more and often because in reality, it's not equality that they're seeking, it's more, you know, and pushing victimization or, you're better than those people who are quote unquote colonizers or other words. And it's and this viewpoint is destructive, both to others and to the person themselves. Because let's face it, putting yourself in a perpetual state of victimhood is not healthy. Now, how can we deal with people suffering TDS? Well, it's simple. Patience. Patience is key to everything. Gotta wait and don't argue. Show them the light. And I probably just realized show them the light. Don't actually do anything bad to them. Like, show them the truth. Do it peacefully and be calm. Because they may yell, they may bark, they may screech at you, but be calm. Be collective, and most importantly, don't engage with those DNC paid shills. Okay? They get paid to get clicks. And I want to bring up this poll that just came out. It talks about kind of the favorability of the two parties. It's by Quinnipiac. Republicans have kind of neutral and -2. And it seems like Democrats, they have the lowest amount, -26. I believe this could be a sign of a turn, like maybe a growing distrust of the Democratic Party. But I cannot really tell, and I think it's too early to tell. But if this continues on, then what's going to happen to people with those chronic TDSers? Maybe we'll see some reform, people reforming their way, so going, maybe Trump wasn't this bad after all. But who knows? So, in summary, TDS is kind of a thing that's going to still stick around. We're going to still see it, but it's important to recognize the logic behind the arguments, not only to help, combat them, but realize, logical fallacies in our own arguments. If we can make our own arguments, fallacy proof, then who's going to stop us, essentially? Because if there's no fallacies in an argument, then what do you have to argue against? Anyway, as America gets, further into the Trump presidency, who knows what the future's going to hold and whether how much tedious freakouts will we see. This is to be continued. Stay tuned for more.